Lisa, we'll go ahead and take over if you'll be okay with that. Vivian, can you see my screen?
I can.
Awesome, awesome. Let me fix a couple things here real quick and we'll go ahead and get started. So, yeah, welcome. I guess good morning might come in order. My name is Todd Rosso with Public Supermarkets, and on the executive board, part of industry representing retail food. And with me is Daveen Scirocco-Smith, ex officio board member, emeritus public health sanitarian from Mentor, Ohio, and chair of the Constitution, Bylaws, and Procedures Committee. And we're here today to give you our first-time attendees brief orientation on CFP. And I would ask you to look back to the preview on the housekeeping tasks. So we are also asking that you would hold your questions for the end. It would help us to get through this information. So Daveen, let me turn it over to you.
Thank you, Todd. So CFP is a forum for individuals interested in retail food safety. CFP is devoted to identifying emerging food safety problems and solutions to those problems based on sound science. Solutions are obtained by collaborative consensus building with constituency balance. So examples of some of the collaborative efforts are best practice documents or guidance documents that can be found on the CFP website. Some examples are there's HACCP templates, there's the emergency action plan, guidance for food recovery, amongst a plethora of others. So I want to talk to you a little bit about CFP's history. In 1971, industry, regulatory, and consumers met to discuss microbiological aspects of food safety. So in 1984, using the Interstate Milk Shippers document as a guideline, CFP adopted a constitution. And in that constitution, there were 7 committees. And then in 1986, CFP decided to be an action organization and acknowledged that food safety is an ongoing national concern. So there is a need to meet on a regular basis. And that was established in 1986. And then 7 committees became 3 committees. So let's talk a little bit about CFP governance. CFP is predominantly governed by the Constitution and Bylaws and the Conference Procedure Manual. In addition, CFP policies define our activities. The antitrust statement is read at the beginning of council deliberations and is read as a reminder of the antitrust statement at all CFP meetings, the beginning of all of them. The antitrust policy is an ethical reminder of free and open competition, no discussion of prices or side arrangements, etc., because competitors have come together to be members of CFP. Now, the Constitution and Bylaws is the foundation of the CFP as an organization. It states our objectives, organizational structure, the 6 constituency groups. The executive board is to manage the conference, and that the biennial will take place, and then the structure for the biennial are all in the Constitution and Bylaws. And so the objective of the CFP is to promote food safety and consumer protection. The objective is carried out by a collaborative of regulatory, industry, consumer, and academia, using science as a basis to hopefully arrive at proposed regulations that can be accepted by all constituencies. In addition, the collaborative develops guidance documents like the emergency plan for retail food, barriers to bare hand contact training manual, and that has a PowerPoint, and it also has it in English and Spanish, just to name a few. So again, I encourage you to go to CFP website and use the resources available. There's no sense in reinventing the wheel. Now, this is just a visualization of the organization of CFP. The executive board oversees the councils and the council committee work, which is presented to the councils, and ultimately the assembly of delegates accepts or does not accept the council's work. Now let's talk about the members' constituencies. So there are regulators, federal, state, local, and territorial. There's industry, food service, retail food, food processing, vending and distribution, and food industry support. Now, food industry support is a large portion of our membership, and it includes consultants, chemical companies, certification boards, and those are just some examples of what would fall into the industry support category. Academia, we do have quite a few college professors involved with CFP, and we count on them for the sound science. And consumers, advocacy organizations are also a constituency, and students are a constituency as well. And lastly, emeritus. So if you're retired and are still interested in food safety, you can still participate. So those are the constituencies. Now, the biennial meeting conference procedure document provides a clear path for the conference. It's kind of like the constitution and bylaws are the law, and this procedure document are the rules for that law. And so now Todd is going to explain to you the process contained within that document. Todd.
Hey, thank you, Davine. This slide is an overview of the process that takes place before, during, and after the biennial conference. The process operates much like a mini food safety congress, with committees developing bills that are voted on by councils and ratified by all 50 states. The work produced by the Conference for Food Protection ultimately goes into model food regulation or guidance documents that Davine mentioned earlier. Before the conference begins, there's all of these issues that will go through issue submission process and assigned to councils. It's a pretty involved process. During the conference, that's where the bulk of the time and it's spent, where councils will deliberate and decide on their issues. There are many networking, collaboration opportunities and caucus meetings with the various constituencies. And then the summation of the meeting, and the summation of the meeting is where the Assembly of State Delegates will vote on the council's recommendations. After the conference, CFP recommendations out of that conference are sent to our federal partners, FDA, USDA, CDC, and the executive board will manage the CFP process and stay connected with the formed committees and on the status of their charges. The executive board will meet at least 3 times prior to the next biennium. Issue submission. An issue is a topic submitted for consideration to the conference by any interested party addressing an identified concern related to retail food safety and offering a recommended solution to that concern. An issue proposal includes the official issue submission and all supporting documentations. And issues are also generated from committee charges assigned during the prior conference and includes their report, work product, and recommended solutions. There is a 30-day open window in December for submitting issues to the issue committee. This is, sorry. PowerPoint works well sometimes, sometimes it doesn't. Again, we talk about the 30 days of open window in December for submitting issues to the issue committee. And there's other important dates that are also defined in the CFP master calendar. And I think Davine and I would encourage all to go to the CFP website and you'll find that calendar there. Once an issue is submitted and accepted, it is under the ownership of the Conference for Food Protection, and the conference will shepherd it through the completion of the process. Late breaking issues. You know, what about late breaking issues? What is a late breaking issue? A late breaking issue is a food safety issue. It's defined in the biennial meeting conference procedures as an issue that specifically relates to an event, practice, or circumstance creating a situation requiring the immediate attention of the Conference for Food Protection and that occurred between the conference issue submission deadline. And just for discussion purposes, we had 3 late-breaking issues that came forward. I believe 2 of them went to Council 3 and 1 of them went to Council 2. Or Council 1, I guess, wasn't it, Davine?
It was 2.
Thank you. These are the 3 councils within CFP, and each has a defined focus of the issues that they will have responsibility over. These are those councils and their focus and membership. Council 1 is focused on laws and regulations. Council 2 on administration, education, and certification. And Council 3 is based on science and technology. There are some differences in the membership of each council. Council 1 and 2 will rotate their chair and vice chair positions between regulatory and industry, where Council 3 will rotate through regulatory, industry, and academia. Council 3 also has at-large members that can be pulled from any constituency to assure expertise in science and technology. Each council is balanced based on the bylaws and constitutions that Davine mentioned earlier for our constituency, geographic area, new and prior council membership. This is also for continuity of the issue history and health of the councils. Each of the members has a responsibility to thoroughly study each issue and related submitted information to be actively engaged with the discussion around the table during the council deliberation. The discussion is done using modified Robert's Rules of Order with a parliamentarian to assist. There are a total of 102 issues, plus the 3 late-breaking issues I mentioned, that these councils will deliberate this biennium. Council 1 has 35 issues, Council 2, 33, and Council 2, 33, and Council 3, 34. Once an issue is accepted, is it assigned to the council that can best discuss the issue and bring forth a good recommendation to the Assembly of Delegates. This assignment is done during a meeting of the 3 council chairs and vice chairs, executive director, conference chair and vice chair, and issue committee. During the council deliberation, an issue may get referred or transferred to another council if deemed appropriate. As the council deliberation process proceeds, members of the audience may provide testimonial to the issue. However, they must be recognized by one of the council members to speak. As the council arrives at their decision to the issue, any information recorded, like amendments or no action, must be clear. These amended, good night. Oh, sorry about that. Show all my slides at one time. Again, we want the amended issues to be very clear so that when it does get passed down to be charged for the committees, that they have a clear understanding of what the expectations were of that council. Obviously, we don't want any committees to have to guess on what the intent of the councils were. I think, Davine, we're to you now, and hopefully my slides will be more cooperative.
Okay. You got the Assembly of Delegates?
I do. I guess I missed that slide. Yeah, sorry. Thanks about that. Thanks for that, David. So once the issues are in the hands of the Assembly of Delegates, they will vote on either accepting or rejecting the council's recommendations. Each state will have 1 vote and can be shared between the agriculture and health. Interesting that there is one state, Florida, which I live within, and they split the vote in thirds since there are represented by 3 regulatory agencies. Delegates may vote on issues in groups or extract issues for further discussion. However, council recommendations cannot be changed extracted issues may be referred to the executive board for further discussion, with an option to form an ad hoc committee for further deliberation and present back to the board. The conference chair has 45 days to send results to the federal agencies. The federal agencies will respond in writing back to CFP for their decision and direction within 60 days of receipt. The federal agencies will internally explore for any concerns and will provide a written update to the conference chair as a follow-up on each recommendation no later than 6 months prior to the next CFP biennial meeting. And this again is highlighted in the CFP procedure document that Davine mentioned. Now, Davine, I think I'm ready for you. Thank you.
So let's talk a little bit about the committees. So much of the conference work is done by council committees and standing committees between the bienniums. So a council committee is born from an issue that council deliberates and determines more work is needed on the issue. So those committees only exist until the charges given to them have been completed. So these committees, as Todd said, submit that work back to council as issues for deliberation to show that they accomplished what they were set out to do. An example, for instance, the Direct-to-Consumer Delivery Committee was formed in 2018 from an issue. They had charges, they worked on the work, and now they submitted that work in form of an issue back to Council 3. That's just one of many committees that are doing that this time. There's also standing committees, as outlined in the Constitution. There's Program Standards Committee, Finance Committee, Constitution and Bylaws Committee, et cetera. There's a total of 11 standing committees, and they always exist, and they get their work from either issues from councils and or the executive board. So let's talk about committee participation. Get involved, everybody. Membership has the opportunity to sign up for committees. Appointments to committees are made to ensure balanced constituency are present, and we try to pay attention to geographic location as well. Please be sure that your email is correct and be looking in your junk and spam mail for emails from CFP members as committees are being formed. Please don't forget to look in that junk mail. Todd.
Thank you, Davine. The executive board will provide administrative management of the conference. This slide lists the voting and non-voting membership. The state and local regulatory members will be selected from the 6 represented regions: Pacific, Midwest, Southwest, Southeast, Mid-Atlantic, and Northeast. The conference chair will always be a regulator. The terms for each member is 6 years, and the executive board is made up of seasoned and new members. It is possible to have a representative elected to 2 terms, but not to exceed 12 years. I know there is one, I believe, issue, Davine, that's coming forward to make some modifications based on the current public health crisis that we're in. So some modifications are there. The next slide is around consensus and the caucus meetings. The board members, the board members' positions are elected during the caucus meetings by their peers. The caucus meetings are closed to the applicable constituency only. There are 4 meetings defined in the biennial meeting program. These meetings allow for representatives from each council to share where issues have been resolved and where some concerns may be. They allow for open discussion and are used to collaborate and build consensus. Going into the caucus meeting, there may be issues that need some additional collaboration to help it succeed. Some strategy may be developed to help to accomplish the goal. And I think all of us at the conference we all have public health in the forefront, and we all want to work together to collaborate and build consensus. That's one of the most important things, I believe, out of that to come out with. Davine?
So what can you do at the biennial meeting? How can you get your voice heard? If you are very passionate about an issue, you need to approach a council member, have a discussion of your thoughts, and ask to be recognized during deliberation. You can also attend your caucus meetings like Todd just brought up and speak up. If you have a concern about an issue and the way it's going, you're not the only one in the room. So please be able and feel free to speak up. Sign up and participate on committees. I got to tell you, it's a great distraction from the everyday work grind. It really is. And then the wonderful thing about CFP is that we can have varying thoughts and stances and maybe even be on opposite sides of an issue. But we are still friendly colleagues that have mutual respect for each other, the common goal of food safety. CFP members are very passionate about food safety, and the camaraderie is very empowering. And that was a crazy slide.
I don't know what happened there. I think technology is beating me up today. Thanks, Davey. Was there anything else, Davey?
I'm good. You're up.
Awesome. Thanks. Yeah, I need to rework that one, right? So this slide is similar to one that we had shared earlier. It kind of gives an overview of the process or the summary. But during the 2018 Biennial Conference, we introduced the Attendee app. And this year, we're leveraging this tool even more to post the current issues being discussed in council and their outcomes. So again, kind of if you haven't done so, I think there's been several plugs maybe on the first time attendees to go through and make sure you have the Attendee app on. It's a great tool to be able to stay up with the current issues during the biennial meeting, as well as to be able to network with other individuals. The last slide that we have here, if it'll stay strong, is this is again based on the Conference for Food Protection website. And what a wonderful resource this is. Daveen covered many things relative to the Constitution and bylaws and the procedures documents, all of those work products from the individual committees that have worked on things over quite a few many years. Great reference materials, as well as if you're interested in what particular committees are working on, their reports are posted. You can kind of see once those things have been posted how things have developed. See the folks that are actually part of those discussions and the dialogue that does occur, as well as the full transparency about any kind of board meetings that have gone on and the details that are going on. So CFP is very transparent with what they've done. So I would always encourage our new members as well as current members to go and stay up with our current website. And that is all I have other than the contact information. I think most of us get quite a few email from Dr. McSwain, and we appreciate all the work of David Lawrence as the chair and Brenda vice chair, as well as David McSwain as our executive director. And I will open it up, Daveen, to any questions that we might have.
I see there's two in the chat. Can I get a copy of this presentation slide deck? I believe so. Can't they, Todd?
Yeah, I believe so. And it's actually being recorded. So and I think we could probably work back through the executive board on how that could be done. So I think the idea is to share this. And you can always go back to this particular video once it's recorded in the agenda that we joined this way. So it's a great tool.
And then the 10 at-large members for Council 3 don't seem to be listed on the website. Are they listed anywhere else? They should be listed on the website. The at-large members for Council 3 don't have to fit the same template as the other two councils, although constituency balance is kept. They can be 5 academics or whatever, and I'm not sure why they're not listed on the website, but I think we can check into that, Todd, and make sure that gets addressed.
Daveen, this is Dave McSwain. If I could interject, they
Please.
can find those on the Pathable site. All they need to do is go on there. There is a tab available that talks about councils, and if they go under each, there's a roster, current roster for each of the 3 councils, and everyone is listed there. Voting members, alternate scribes, parliamentarians, the FDA consultants, they're all there. So that would that would be the really easiest and quickest point for them to access that information.
Great, thank you, Dr. McSwain.
Any other questions?
Really, gang, no other questions?
Awesome. I did see David Lawrence's hand. Did his hand go up or did it come up and go down?
You did see it, Todd, but it was David McSwain answered the question. And thank you, Davine and Todd, for the first time orientation presentation is so important to organization. To have new members, to have first time attendees of the session. I have asked others who are experienced members to look in your profile where on Pathable under the who's who, the last drop down of that is all attendees. And that opens up all the profiles. And there's for first time attendees, there's a ribbon there called first time attendees. And I've asked people who have more experience with the Biennial meeting to send you a message through Pathable. The message would come from David McSwain, but I've asked for people to engage you and welcome you as first time attendees because we want you to feel part of the process as Davine and Todd have described. And understand the Conference Free Protection process and the importance and the value of our organization. So thank you very much. There is a lot of information on the Pathable website. So take advantage of that and go through the various tabs on the navigation bar. This presentation has been added as a file on this session tab in Pathable. So if someone goes to the in Pathable and looks at the first time orientation agenda session card, if you go over to file, in that you'll see this presentation. You'll find this presentation as a PDF or probably the PowerPoint presentation is there. So thank you all.
Dr. McSwain has his hand up.
I just wanted to put in a plug to all of those first time attendees and others. If you happen to be in one of those caucus groups that'll be holding an election, you should have received a message in the last 24 hours. You actually got two. You got one that came out yesterday afternoon, and I followed it up with a reminder message this morning that provided you with a unique code that will enable you, to participate in voting in any of the events that occur next week where voting is required. But for this group, probably the one they're most likely to be participating in is if they are regulators who will be electing a board representative for state and local agencies in their region, or the academics and a couple of industry positions. So again, if you did not get that message, please let us know. But if you did get the message, I would encourage you to make sure you save it and keep that code handy because you will be needing it once you get into those sessions where elections will be held. So again, thanks for the opportunity to emphasize the importance of that particular point.
So we have a question, maybe David Lawrence could answer this. When during this virtual conference, until we have time to network with others and sign up for committees. So can you describe the networking feature, David?
Well, the networking would be through to go into someone's profile and do that emailing type thing. We are doing our best to control the chat in the sessions otherwise, because that chat will be used for other reasons by the persons who are participating in the council session or the delegates. We're somewhat locking down that ability, but you do have the ability to go and do the one-on-one networking using that email feature and making those connections. I'm not aware of any other tool that we've incorporated through Pathable for that reason. And as far as did you ask about committee sign-up process?
Mm-hmm.
Is that okay? So, Davine and Todd talked about how committees are formed and how that comes out of the final recommendations out of the assembly. So there would be notification by email to all the Conference Free Protection members that these committees are available and then there'll be an online sign up process for that. And we plan to complete that process within 3 or 4 weeks of when that notification goes out, because we're on a much shorter time frame this time before the 2023 biennial meeting. So these committees need to get started and working very shortly after that. So if there will be a committee formation presentation done on, is that Thursday? Is that Thursday of next week? The committee orientation? Again, I'm always, my
It
calendar
is
always
Thursday afternoon, David.
next Thursday afternoon. Elizabeth Nutt with AFTA will be doing that presentation. And by that time, we will have an idea, even before this, and we'll have an idea. Here's what the proposed committees are coming out of the councils. That'll be it in that presentation. And at that time, that may be when you want to consider, do I want to be a member of this committee? And also, do I want to be a lead of this committee and have a role in leading this committee through the charges assigned through the process? So be on the lookout for that. We will do a notification by email when that's going to be announced about the sign up. So thank you all.
Thank you, David. Are there any other questions?
I don't see any more, Davian.
I don't either.
Well, we do provide a lot of options for providing feedback, so utilizing the applications that we do today. So feel free to share. All right. Is that it?
I
That's
guess if
awkward.
there are no more questions, we thank you for your attention and your time to view this presentation. And please feel free to reach out to any CFP member with any questions you might have.
Thanks, Davian. It's been a pleasure.
As always, Todd.
Hey guys, I do have one question.
Okay.
Can you hear me? Yeah. In the past, I've been to one of the CFPs, and I had a question about the different sessions and the different, I guess the different issues. And I think back in the day, I think the last one I went to was in 2006. And there were poster boards at the different rooms, and it told you what issues they were getting ready to talk about. So I'm just trying to figure out how we can figure out when the issues are taking place, so that we can go back and forth, kind of like in person. I know it's going to be a little different, but how do we know when those issues are going to take place?
Hey, David, I could grab that unless you've got it, because I'm thinking about the Attendify app.
Thank you.
There was a group that worked on that. So there's several individuals will be updating. So I would encourage you to download the Attendify app. It'll tell you what the issues were that just closed out. It'll tell you the status of those. And then I believe they've been talking about everything will be followed in sequence. So as it's presented, unless at the onset of the council discussion, when things get moved around, and David might be able to help provide some additional clarification. David?
Just also, again, under the Attendify app, you'll see a tab on the homepage that says breaking news. And if you click on that breaking news button, you will see an issue status. It's basically the same thing as was usually posted outside of each of the council rooms on the poster board. And it has those. We're going to try to keep those updated as fast as we can. But I do agree that probably having the mobile app where the final resolution of the issue is posted using the live streaming feature will be the quickest way to get the information. But a good alternative is to go under the breaking news tab, and you'll see the issues. And this is a fillable PDF file that we will update as soon as we can, as we know what the status of the issue. It's not infallible, because some councils may end up deciding to take issues out of numerical order, because some maybe they view as reasonably able to be combined or transferred to another council or whatever. So, I mean, there's no sure thing, but I think between the app and the breaking news tab on the Passable website, those would be the two best options for staying abreast of what's going to be done. Again, we don't know how many issues will be addressed in a particular session. So, what's going to happen on Tuesday will depend largely on how many issues they're finishing on Monday and so forth. So That's just the nature of the beast. But I think, again, those two outlets would be the best sources of information.
Thank you.
Yes, and David, Lawrence, thank you. The, at the CFP website, under biennial meetings, you can find the link to download the Attendify app.
I believe the questions are closed. Any other last comments or questions? Going once. Thanks for your participation. Thanks for your attention. We greatly appreciate it. And Davine, thanks again.
Thank you, Todd. You as well. All right, everybody,
Bye-bye.
have a great day.